You guys, welcome to Season 3 of the Derby Career Mode Live, and to start off this episode, we are in our second season of the Premier League. Just kicking it off, we're going to have a look at the objectives for the season. As you can see, we have got 25 million and 120k in wages, so pretty decent budget. And yeah, looking at the objectives, I'll do it by each section because the overview just basically gets the most important one. So, youth development, again, I'm not that bothered. I'll probably be able to achieve that top one. Sign 3 youth academy players younger than 20, and they've got a better potential rating than the current team. That's very easy to do. However, the bottom one, maybe we'll be able to do that. I'm not sure. 2 players isn't too bad. Maybe we do like a goalkeeper and a striker, something like that. That'd be quite easy to achieve, and we only have to play them in 5 games, so it's not too bad. So we'll probably be able to hit that objective. Brand exposure, that's automatically done basically when you make signings in the transfer window, and that should be done quite easily as well. By the end of the season, we got like 93 million, and they want a profit of 26. It's not exactly difficult, is it? Domestically, they want us to finish mid-table, which we did actually achieve last season by finish 13th, and they want a round of 16 finish in the FA Cup. Last year was a bit of a tough one. We got knocked out in the round of 32, but we did come up against Everton, so a little bit of a tougher team, of course. They did actually finish top 4 Everton in the end, so hopefully we get a bit of an easier draw this year. And something I want to look at this year as well, maybe pushing towards some silverware, maybe getting to a final or 2, that would be quite nice. So I did actually simulate by 1 day. The only reason I did that is because it means all of the old players, I'll actually show you through the messages, all the old players that are leaving the club have left, and all the players that are coming to the club have joined. So it's basically the squad that we have for this season. So we did sell Joe Ledley to QPR, Keefton Bell to Burnley, Huddleston I think went on a free to Bournemouth. It's a bit strange how it just tells you that they've left. It's not like, oh, you've got this amount of money for selling this specific player. Pre-contract here for Emerson. He's our first arrival. Really glad we signed him. I think he's going to be a great player at the club. Butterfield going to Wolves. Bryson going to Sheffield United. And Reading is the destination for Richard Keogh. And then we got Hendrick coming back. I think that's one of the best signings we've made this season, that's for sure. Dominic Solanke, obviously, his loan expiring. We do still have Ademola Lookman until January, so that's quite good. And that's about it. So I think it was the right thing to do. It's a bit of a shame Keogh and Bryson, absolute legends of the club, have had to leave, but it's probably a realistic thing. If we did get to the Premier League, we'd have to improve. It's as simple as that. And if we are going to get our top half of the table finish, maybe towards the Europa League positions, we're going to have to get a better team. So looking at the lineup we've gone for then, still got Jerry up front. Now striker-wise, we are a little bit lacking. We have got Chris Martin and Bennett on the bench, but then there's only Jerry in the starting 11, so that's an area I'm going to look at for sure. Then in goal we got Blake. He's the only goalkeeper we have at the club, so we're definitely going to be signing a goalkeeper. I'm looking at least bare minimum 80 rated, because I feel last season we conceded far too many goals. We were the worst defensive team in the league. Hopefully Kera doesn't get another cruciate ligament damage. That was absolutely terrible last season. Really did kind of mess up this defence. It meant we had to kind of panic by Palmer Brown, but he's still a very good player, there's no doubt about it. Very similar to Kera in stats, of course, in style and everything like that. Emerson at left back will definitely help our defence out. If you just look at his defensive stats, they're not amazing, but at 24, very easily to improve those. So hopefully I can get those towards the 80 mark. That would be good to see. And yeah, just a really good attacking fullback actually, like with Wisdom and Emerson, very different. As you can see, Wisdom's only got 55 dribbling, Emerson almost 80, so clearly a good option there. Hopefully Wisdom can grow to a 75. So what we're going to be doing with our backup fullbacks is Lowe will be our backup left back, and Sesson Cambo will go at right back for Wisdom whenever need be. I could always play Sesson Cambo either side and maybe just sell Max Lowe for like 7 mil. But I think we do need to keep some of our youth players at the club, and he's got some pretty good stats on him, in fairness. Very good defending stats, 80 sliding and 78 standing, and his physicals have actually gone up a little bit, up to 73 pace now for him. Callum Guy coming back from Oldham, pretty decent physical stats on him. I might be tempted to play him in the FA Cup and stuff like that, as we don't have many central midfielders. Obviously last season we had far too many. This year we've got Thorne and Hansen, who can play in defence as well. Jamie Hansen, but we got 3 backup centre mids, and since we played 2, I think that's a fair amount. So don't think we need to sign in any central midfielders. Same with the wingers. I think we've got Simon Lawrence, Vidra could do a job there, Bennett can do a job there, Ibe, Ciceretti, and I think there's one other, Milo as well, and Lukman. So more than enough in that position. So we don't need to look to improve there. Centre-back, I'm not 100% sure. We were a bit defensively weak, but we have got two backups here in Rawson and Palmer Brown. Whether we do bring in somebody, I think it's more down to how much money we've got after signing a striker and a goalkeeper. I think they're the main priorities for this transfer window. So looking at our transfer hub, we have added a few players here. I'm going to sort it by position. So first up, we've got Joe Hart. Now, Joe Hart would take up quite a bit of our budget, and he's 32 years old. But he's very good rated, 82 rated, and goalkeepers don't exactly go down too much, so maybe a player we can look at. Same with Fabianski, 34 years old, decent player. Cragno would be more a player in his prime, would be quite cheap as well, and pretty decent rated. Sportiello from Atlanta, I think he's got a year left on his contract, so we may be able to nick him for a little bit cheaper. A few of these players will literally have their scout reports back in the next few days. Tom Heaton, that would be a good option, but the problem is he's 33 years old, so he'd be around 80 rated, which would be great, and he'd be decently cheap at 7 mil. Like, that's not a bad price. Begovic here as well at 10 million. That's a pretty decent price for a very good goalkeeper. Dragowski would be a bit of a youth option. There's a couple of these. Maybe not the rating we need right now, but we could basically rate all the other goalkeepers that we currently have on the shortlist. Areola would be quite an interesting one, because obviously he's a backup PSG goalkeeper, maybe looking for a Premier League move, and yeah, it'd be a decent one. And then Alban Lafont, same with Dragowski, very young, and probably wouldn't be the rating we need him right now. The problem is with Lafont is he's such a common signing on career mode. I'm almost against it because it's so abundant in so many people's career modes. I kind of want to make my own unique signing, so maybe not going for Lafont. We still have a few decent players here. I really want to sign this Kieran Tierney guy, but Celtic just literally every single season this player will not say he's too important. Every single season for the last 3 years, so a little bit frustrating. We have got Matty Phillips here. They have been relegated, West Brom, of course. If we sell, let's say, Simon for 20 mil or Lawrence for 20 mil, we could just pick up Matty Phillips for 7 mil. So it'd be a really good bit of business. I'm not looking to sell those players, but if a bid does come in, we will look to do that. We're going to have to remove Robbie Brady as he has moved to Lazio. Bit of a shame. Would have been quite a nice option, but I think we're alright in the winger position for the time being. And then striker. I think it's between Adams and Woods. I think they're the two main ones. I kind of want a better striker, though, in fairness. I could do... I think we're going to remove Danny Ings. Or do we keep him? Because that price tag is quite expensive. Back in... You think about it, back in January, we could have got him for 7 mil. Obviously, we didn't have the wages at the time. But now they're asking for double. So, a little bit frustrating. I think we will remove him because I feel like he's an injury-prone striker. I definitely don't want to be bringing that in and then he's out for the entire season. So, it's between Che Adams and Wood. Now, Chris Wood's very similar to Chris Martin, but a little bit pacier. Probably just a better player all in all. He's 6 ratings higher. And then Che Adams, he's absolutely rapid. There's no doubt about it. And I think he's a lot more fast than Jerry. I think Jerry's... The problem is with Jerry is because he's so tall and bulky, it's very difficult for him to get the acceleration. We also have got Tammy Abraham here. We could always bring him on loan. Whether I do that or not, I'm not 100% sure. But I think, first of all, we need a goalkeeper. We've only got one in the club, so I'm going to put a few bids in here, see what we can get, and I might wait a couple of days, though, just for these other 2 or 3 to get their scout reports back, though. So Tommy Eaton's scout report is back here. He's only got 12 months left in his contract, so I could see us getting him for a pretty decent price. 6'2", obviously 33, a little bit older than I'd probably want, but I feel like goalkeeper, you just shouldn't downgrade a goalkeeper. I don't think a goalkeeper ever gets worse because of age. If anything, he probably gets better. So maybe reflexes go down, but other than that, I think all in all, a goalkeeper gets better with age. Pretty much got 80 in every single stat other than kicking at 75. So I think we'll go in to approach him. As he's only got 12 months left, I could see us maybe getting like 6.5 for him. That would be a decent price. As you can see, Emerson's kit is on the backboard there. Sean Dyche, is he still at Burnley by the time this video does go up? It'll be interesting to see. I hope he kind of does stick with Burnley because they've been quite faithful. If you do remember, a while ago, Burnley were relegated and they could have very easily got rid of Sean Dyche, but they kept with him. Then they got him back up and now they're looking very good indeed. So we're going to kick it off with a £5 million bid. Be interested to see what Burnley do apply. Maybe they'll just completely throw this offer out the window. They're going for 7. So that's $1 million less than his current value. If we could go 6.2, I think we could maybe meet him in the middle at 6. Like maybe they'll come in at like 6.5, and I'd be more than happy with that for Tom Heaton. Obviously, not a very long-term option, but for now, I think that would be a great option for this season. He'd only go down 1 or 2 ratings, if that. He would be playing every single game, and they're happy to accept that. So that's absolutely fantastic. $6 million for Tom Heaton. Obviously, a little bit old, but pretty cheap. That's what I like about him. For a season, I'd be more than happy. 80 rated, a lot better than Andre Blake, of course. We're going to put a few other bids in if we can get like an equivalent-ish price, if we can get around the 6 million, which I think is an absolute steal for Tom Heaton. We'll try for Begovic and a few others that have already got their scout reports. West Ham have come in for a £5 million bid in for George Thorne. Definitely going to be rejecting that. I think he's worth at least bare minimum 10, and they've come in with half. So going to be rejecting that. Also, we're very early on in the transfer window. I probably won't want to let go of anyone. I don't think there's anyone in the squad I'd really want to get rid of in a way. So as I was saying, it is a very tough group, so I wouldn't be shocked if we do get knocked out. Burnley have actually picked up Lukepingu. He is probably about 34 years old now, so in fairness, probably a realistic deal for them. Maybe on a free or something like that. But we do need to actually do the bid in for Tom Heaton's contract, because that's we will lose him. I do want to wait, though. I want to wait as long as we can. Just if we can get a better goalkeeper option. Because at 33, maybe not the best. And I'd prefer maybe Sportiello or something like that from abroad. Second loss in the pre-season tournament then. Again, I'm not that bothered. I think we've got a nice amount of money. We did just play Nice, and I feel like an extra couple of mil, that'd be more than enough. I don't really want too much money to be spending. George Thorne wants to be playing some games, so I think just for pre-season I may as well stick him on the bench, into the team, sorry, just so players don't complain. I think Max Lowe wanted to play as well, so we may as well shove him in. Transfer off here from Hamburg for Kehrer. Now the thing is with Kehrer, he's got 12 months left in his contract. His form's not too good as well. He hasn't actually played in like 7 months, so I don't know how they can judge that. But we will be rejecting this, and I'm kind of tempted to do the contract now because I don't want to leave it late and then just obviously him going on a free in January. Definitely don't want that to happen. So we will be simulating this next game against Mainz. If we don't win it, we will be knocked out. It'll be interesting to see. We have lost. Bit of a shame that we couldn't win a single game in the pre-season tournament, but we'll get a nice mil or two. I'm not sure. I think it was 6 million for winning it, so we do win 1.1. As you can see as well, Valencia have come in with a very handsome £18 million bid for Will Hughes. It's interesting to see that Valencia have come in as well, a very big Spanish team, up to 30 million for Will Hughes. So clearly, us paying 6.5 plus a goalkeeper that I probably wouldn't have used. I think that was a cracking deal last season. So obviously, we're going to be rejecting this offer. But it's good to know. It's good to know he's worth that much. Because let's say he's not working for the team, we could very easily look to move him on for a very handsome penny indeed. The deal for Tom Heaton has broken down. Bit of a shame, but I think there's better players on our transfer hub that I'd probably be more inclined to sign. So I think for Areola, I'd only really want to pay his value. I wouldn't really... Like, he's a backup goalkeeper at PSG. He's not exactly playing the games. And I don't know why. Yeah, they're looking for 25 mil. I'm not going to be paying all of our transfer budget, so we are going to end the negotiations there. For an 81 weighted keeper, 25 mil, is that realistic? Probably not. But just looking at our other options then. Going to go in for Sportiello now. I think he'd be an interesting one. Very cheap wages indeed. Very good diving reflexes. Not the best at positioning, but I could very easily train that up quite easily. He's still only 27, so he is in his prime. He's quite a tall goalkeeper as well, at 6'4". If you compare with Dragowski, 6'2", 6 foot for Cregno. Out of our options, he's probably the tallest. Joe Hart's 6'5". But yeah, he is the tallest. Obviously, Begovic is an absolute giant. But they're looking for 13 at 32. I wouldn't really want to be paying that because it's a bit of a risk of him going down range. So we're going to go in with he's valued at 10, so I wouldn't mind just putting a £10 million bid in for him. Going into it then, We are going to put 10 million to kick it off, just to see where Atlanta are. I think, was he? No, he wasn't on 12 months left, so be interested to see what they come back with. They have gone for 15 and a bit, plus 5% sell-on clause. Maybe meet in the middle at like 12 and a bit. I think, I wouldn't, like, the sell-on clause to me won't be a factor with Sport Yellow, because I could see him staying at the club for quite a while. We'll probably move Blake sooner. So they need some time to talk about Sport Yellow. It's a little bit frustrating, but it does give us time to have a look at Pickford, obviously, when his scout report eventually does come back. He doesn't have the best of stats. He's got very good kicking, very good reflexes, but then his diving and positioning, he is 25 years old, so I feel like maybe it's a good option. 14 is the value. We'll put a £40 million bid in for him and see what comes back, because I'd be more than happy to pick up Jordan Pickford for that price. Ronald Koeman at Everton on career mode, of course, not so much in real life. We're going for the 14.5. Hopefully they don't get offended by this, because it'd be a bit silly, because that's his value. They've just brought in a new goalkeeper. Don't exactly need him. And they've just thrown it out the window. Like, why do you need two goalkeepers? Maybe if they're... In fairness, Everton are playing Champions League football this season, so maybe they do need two goalkeepers. Kasper Schmeichel going to Napoli. He was the best goalkeeper last season. He had the most clean sheets. I think it was by at least 3 or 4, so clearly very good season for him. Sport Yellow transfer accepted. That's good to see. 12.8 plus the 10%. I think I'll be more than happy with that. Kure Alexander coming in this time for Kellen Gordon. Again, we'll accept it. Whether he wants to go, we'll have to wait and see. He's probably like thinking, oh, I'm in the Premier League. Why would I move down to like League One? Because you're not going to be playing in the Premier League, mate. So I'd probably move there if I were you. Or he's maybe waiting for a Championship team to come in for him. So we do need to go into the wages for Sport Yellow. I think for the rating years, if we can get him on 30 grand a week wages, that'd be massively saving. He is currently on 24 grand, so I'm giving him a wage increase. There's no doubt about it. Probably stick him on at least a 4-year contract. He's 27. You've got a good 4 seasons out of him. We'll be giving him a crucial first team goalkeeper slot. More than happy with that. That's good to see. 3-year contract. Whether the thing is, I don't think we'll do more than 3 seasons. I think we'll do this season, and then maybe another season in this career mode. I think I'd only go up to 4. So in 3, do 4, maybe 5, maybe 5. I think we'll stick it at 3 just to keep him happy. Obviously, we can negotiate this down the line. They're not looking for a release clause. That's good to see. Now the wages, they've come in with 33. Appearance bonus of £500,000 after 15 games. What I'm going to do is remove the bonus, because it's literally pointless, the bonuses, in my opinion. And then just see if they are happy with that. They may increase 1 or 2. Wages has gone up to 37, so we'll knock that down to 35. So they are pretty adamant they want 37.5 plus £500,000 signing on bonus. It's just under £500,000, and I think for an 80 rated keeper, he's going to be a lot cheaper than the other options, as he is in the Serie A. They do have quite cheap wages. So we are bringing out our first signing of season 3 on this series. A lot of S's there. Sport Yellow coming into the club. I really hope we can get a bit of growth out of him as well. If we can go him like 81 or 82. Then that'll be absolutely fantastic. But we've sorted our goalkeeper problem. He's very tall. That's what I like about Sport Yellow. At 80 rated, will be a very good option indeed. Just looking at him compared to Blake then. If you compare the diving, +5 for Sport Yellow. Handling, +8. Kicking exactly the same. +7 positioning. So that's going to be an absolute help. And +1 reflexes. So he's better in every single place other than kicking. I'm not too bothered. Both very tall, 6'4". That's what I like in my goalkeepers. But I think Blake will be the one for cup matches now, and Sport Yellow will be in the Premier League. So I think the only other real area we need to improve is probably striker. I feel like we could have maybe scored a few more goals last season. I don't know if I want somebody better than these two. That's the only thing. I do like Che Adams at 23 years old. Will have plenty of time left to grow. He's quite versatile as well. That's what I quite like about him. He can play cam in behind the striker or out wide on the left. So we will go in as we didn't have the option last season. I would have loved to have the option to sign Che Adams, obviously from Birmingham. Player that we were looking at during the transfer window. Would have been nice if we could have maybe brought him in. I think we just kick it off with an £8 million bid, because he's 23 years old. He's gonna probably have a higher value than that, but we just kick it off with that. Be interested to see what they come back with. They've gone for 11.7, which is a little bit higher, but What I'm looking probably more to do is put a sell-on clause, because I'm not that bothered. I don't see us selling Che Adams anytime soon if we do bring him into the club. So I will go 9.5 plus the 10% sell-on clause. I'm interested to see what Birmingham do come back with. That's a fair offer. They're happy to agree that, so I'm more than happy with that. Under 10 million for Che Adams. Clearly a very good player. If you look at his stats, 95 pace, 81 agility, pretty decent strength at 78 as well. That's what I like about him. He's quite versatile. 81 ball control, 77 finishing, and yeah, pretty decent stats. 4-star weak foot, 3-star skills, 5'10". I don't really see much of a problem with him. What I'm going to do though is put a bid in for Chris Wood as well, exactly the same bid, and see if Burnley do accept that. Just so we know if we could maybe move on one of our strikers, and we do always have the option. Back to talking to Sean Dyche again. So yeah, they're only wanting 10.5. It's not much of a difference between Che Adams, and obviously we don't have to put the sell-on clause in. So just comparing the two then, Chris Wood, I think they've got identical finishing pretty much. I don't think there's much in it. 77 for Che Adams and 79 for Chris Wood. Obviously a lot taller than Che Adams at 6'3". Che Adams only 5'10". Both left-footed. I think we do need a bit more difference up front. He has only got 2-star skills though. That's the thing with Chris Wood. Obviously very strong at need at 86 strength, but not the best of pace at only 71. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure what we really need. I'd probably look at more Che Adams in my opinion, because I feel like the pace, like on the counter-attack, that's what we need. We needed that player to bring the team alive last season. We really did lack that. Chris Wood though would be a great signing. Maybe if we sell a few players we could actually go back to this deal, because I feel like that's the only real area we need to improve. And I don't want to do what we did last season with Che Adams and absolutely losing. So we will negotiate his wage. Be interested to see how much he's wanting as well, because obviously he's probably on cheaper wages than Chris Wood. So just going into the contract then, we will give him an important first team role. I think he'll be more than happy with that. That's good to see. So we'll try and stick the signing on bonus a little bit cheaper, just so we can save as much as we can. Still got 2.5 there, but they're pretty adamant they want that, so we will be accepting 46.5 grand plus the 600k signing on bonus for a very good player indeed. Che Adams, linked to Derby in real life, probably will happen at some point, especially with how Birmingham's season isn't going too well. So it's a good little thing to know. Chris Wood is 10 million. It's as simple as that. If we get a player sold for 6 or 8, I think that's all we really need to do if we are going to bring in Chris Wood. But we have brought in 2 signings now. Just looking at the team then, we have got Jerry currently in the first team. If you compare the two of them, very similar-ish. Che Adams though I think has slightly more pace. I say slightly, he's got 11 more sprint speed, so he's definitely got more pace than Jerry. A bit better finishing, a bit better dribbling, that's what we needed. I think Jerry just lacks a bit, because he is so tall, he does lack a bit of agility and movement at times. And Che Adams is only 23, Jerry's 26, so I don't see much growth in Jerry. Also, he's £181. Che Adams is £40 less at 145, so I think we will stick the youngster in for the time being. I think we'll drop Mason. So all 3 of our youth players are available now, and since we don't really have the most of squad depth, also it hits an objective, and these players can actually move to different clubs if they're not happy. We are going to be signing all 3 of them. We're going to promote them to the senior team. That way it just bulks out the squad a little bit. If you look, great job with the youth program. I think we've actually hit an objective for the season, so that's why they're happy with that. So if you just look at that objective, sign 3 players younger than 20 that have a greater potential than the current team, and that's what we've done. So just looking at how many numbers we've got now, we also kind of needed a backup, another backup goalkeeper on top of Blake and Sportiello, and that is Fontana. Pretty decent stats on him in fairness. Not too much off Blake in fairness. The problem is with Lee, very good defending stats, 6'6" as well. That's absolutely ridiculous. Diving header trait on him, but not the fastest, not the strongest either. But he is only 17, so hopefully those can go up. 5-star skills on a right back here for Marino, 6'6" tall Italian. Again, not the best of pace, and not the best at defending as well. So not 100% sure when we're going to get those involved, but we have had a bit of player growth. Sesson Campbell going to a 75, Blake to a 76, same with Hansen, Ciceretti to an 80, and Che Adams to a 76. So already he's grown by a rating. So that's good to see. I kind of want to get Ciceretti involved in this team though, but I don't know who I drop. Maybe it will be Lawrence. So I think we are going to end off this episode here. Don't want to go into the first game of the season. It is against Manchester City. Just looking at the table then, obviously the new teams that have been promoted are Aston Villa, Watford and Sunderland. Interesting, Sunderland have come back up after not having the best of starts in real life. I think they're in the bottom 3 at the moment. It's kind of crazy that Watford were relegated, in fairness. But it does look like a very competitive season, that's for sure. I think it's a lot tougher than last year, where Reading and Leeds were kind of doomed from the start. They weren't exactly up for it. Watford and Sunderland and Aston Villa, very good squads indeed. So it's going to be a lot tougher. So maybe our Europa League objective is a little bit unrealistic, but I think the signings we have made, especially in the goalkeeper position, that's one of them that I'm definitely happy to look at. So just looking at the calendar, our first games that we will be kicking off next episode: away at the Etihad to kick off the season, then against Watford at what's their stadium called? I can't remember their stadium. And then at home against Chelsea on transfer deadline day. Not 100% sure if we get up to that Chelsea game, as we are still in the transfer window. I kind of like to keep it to 2 games, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it's going to be a tough season, and it's going to be an interesting one. It'll be really interesting. What do you guys think I'm going to finish with? Pretty much the squad done. I don't think we're going to be making many changes. We have actually got 6 mil there, so that's interesting. We're not that far off Chris Wood now. We only need to sell someone for like 3 mil if we are going to bring him into the club. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this episode. Make sure you leave a like rating if you did enjoy the first episode of Season 3. Che Adams and Sportiello coming into the club. So yeah, leave a like if you did enjoy, and see you soon. Bye.